Welcome to episode 27 of Take Your Points. My name is Ronan Scott. So far this season, we've looked at a number of clubs who had championship success at different levels and in different codes. But this week, we're looking at something differently. We're looking at the St Louis Kilkeel team, the team that had a run of success during 04 and 06. This one's different because it's not about a team that won trophies. This is about a team that confounded the odds and reached two MacRory Cup finals despite being a tiny school in South Down with a very small pick and coming up against schools that were much bigger than them. I've asked 5 guys to give me their stories of those seasons, so I hope you enjoy it.
St Louis was a great place to be, very warm environment, and beautiful setting, and just great people to be involved with, whether they were part of the GAA or not. A fine school, and the boys of the panel really give everything to each other and to the cause.
The whole school, it was the whole school. Ronan, to be honest with you, it was absolutely fantastic. The whole experience of St Louis for us young boys and girls that went there. It was a great experience for the 7 years that we were there.
Probably our biggest strength was also our biggest weakness, in that we were such a small school with such a small pick. And when we got that really, really quality crop of players coming through, because we knew each other so well and the school was so small, you couldn't go down the corridor without bumping into one of the boys, and it was just such a tight knit community that we had, and that really carried us through some of those games and tight victories against maybe the bigger schools. Guys might not bump into each other until the training field that evening, whatever. We were literally living every moment of the day together, and that forged a real strong bond.
We just did everything together. The lads on the teams, like from going to cinemas and Friday nights and curtain the camogues together to fishing, poker nights in each other's houses, and pitch and putt. And outside of that, it was just football every day.
A lot of us lads actually knew each other from primary school finals, like where St Mary's boys would have been playing St Bruno's in Rostrava, and him and McConville and Collie Clarke would have been torturing us. I think they beat us by a cricket score in the P7 final. But, when we all got to school, we sort of knew of each other through the GAA circles. But and then we progressed on, into school, and club underage and East Down and South Down were a big thing then,
Well, it's easy to say that this was such an outstanding group of players that came together in 2004, 5 and 6. It is important to remember that they were formed with their clubs, their skills were developed with the clubs, and we had a very strong relationship with the clubs, and they were very supportive of us throughout these years. But at the same time, a lot of the credit for our successes must go to the clubs of Mourne, and I've taken Rostrava and Branchford into that as well. And we really couldn't have done without the clubs. I suppose they gained a lot of confidence from both playing against each other and playing against boys from other schools who were representing their clubs, and realised that realistically the boys in other schools weren't any different than them. They weren't any better footballers. They probably shared similar characteristics, but at the same time, the confidence they got from that, realising that they weren't going to be overawed at club level, sort of that then transferred to the school situation as well then.
What made it all happen too was, the support from principal, teachers, also helping support the footballers and letting them get away with blue murder in school. And the fact that football was pushed up, level of importance with the school curriculum, and people, encouraged and even awarded a little bit for the commitments they were given outside school hours to that, and the men and women that were giving of their time to make it happen, and give us such a fun you know, childhood or adolescence, you know, that journey was mighty.
There was a secret weapon up in St Louis that was unleashed from the day we were in that school, and that was the canteen ladies. They knew how to put on a feed boy, and us morn men sure milked it up in there every day for first, seconds, thirds, starter, main course and dessert. I think they were tortured by us.
I was the year head of James and Joe and those boys. I took them over in second year. And believe me, there were some challenges and challenging times.
Time the coaches put in this with the school, you know, I'm sure none of them saw their family, you know, and you know, it made our childhood or our adolescence, you know, it just gave us, you know, direction, probably prevented us from getting expelled, and you know, the crack we had was mighty.
The principals and all the teachers in that school, from Dr. Devlin and then Sean Rogers and Kevin Martin, to the teachers like Paddy MacLarnon and Cathal, they always made sure that we were doing both our academic work and, you know, playing football. So we were working hard on the pitch and off the pitch, which, you know, in later life now, that's the other things that are paying dividends, you know, in your adult life, that you've learned these, you know, discipline and commitment and hard work, and you learned all those things through those men and the female teachers taking their time and effort with us, because we weren't the easiest bunch to work with. We were a lively bunch. I found one of my old homework diaries actually during the lockdown here. I was tidying out my old room, and there's two notes, one from the vice principal saying sliding down the staircase with tie tied around his head back in 2002, and a couple of months later kicking water over another pupil who was lying on the ground during lunchtime, signed Cathal Murray. So he actually had a direct line to my mother back then when we were at school. For me to stay in line, you're always just, you know, messing about. It was all harmless, but anytime I stepped out of line, there would have been a phone call to my mum, and the football bits would have been locked up, and would have had to get the books out and do some studying. But, you know, I'm so grateful to him now and to everyone else in the school, and that they took the time to both educate us and, you know, teach us how to play football.
The 2004 campaign was a massive breakthrough with the MacLarnon Cup. You know, it was a really, really good team. It was probably the strongest squad we had out of all 3 years. And it was just a big moment. The MacLarnon Cup was all we kind of wanted to win up to that point. Never really got that close. And right throughout that campaign, there was a lot of really close games, tight contests that we edged.
Martin was a special talent. I can remember John telling us before our primary school football tournament we used to organise how special he was. He's God, you see, want to see our fella, he's some footballer. And so he was. Amazing, an amazing leader. I think he'd scored like 115 in a junior final, non-year final possibly. But even to play centre half forward as a fourth year in the MacLarnon and All-Ireland B, obviously against guys who maybe 3-4 years older than him, but he wasn't out of his depth. You know, he really was special. He had such vision, his ability to go past men, to score, to create, everything, track back, good in the air, 2 good feet, right foot when he needed it, but generally he rarely used anything but the left because that's all he needed.
Marty was probably the most, you know, talented player in our generation growing up within Down, and I'd say probably one of the most talked about players outside of Down, also of our generation, you know, and any player who played with him, you know, just said how special it was, you know, to grace the field with him, you know, the things that he can do and how good he actually made everyone else look. You know, people would be receiving passes when they weren't even expecting it. He just had, you know, had something that no one else did, and
he knew the talent that he was and the special attention that he was probably going to get because of that, but never fazed him. And he was pivotal in all 3 of those years, obviously, and more so in 2006, and when the leadership role really rested on his shoulders, and he showed his mettle. He was an amazing footballer, and Such a loss to Down when he did decide to go to Australia, but I mean, the opportunity and what he did in Australia just sums him up, for anything Martin was going to do, he would do it 100%, and we saw that with Australia and then when he came back from Down in 2010. But certainly, it was a serious loss when we lost him, because he was just absolutely tremendous.
2004, unfortunately, I didn't play any football that year because in late 2003, I had tore my cruciate playing for Brantford in the senior county final. 10 minutes into the game, Francie Colgan decided to take me out, and I tore my cruciate, ruptured my medial ligament and tore cartilage, and I'd only turned 17 a couple of weeks before that, so I was still really young at the time to get that injury, and it's forced early retirement now. Actually, I've got arthritis in that knee, so thanks very much, Francie.
Cathal Murray and Paddy McLaughlin, were sticklers for routine, and they made sure that we listened to Percy French every day, going to the games, and it would just get the heartstrings, being pulled, and you were ready for anything, come the start of the game. So yeah, they loved Percy French, them too, they'd be bringing tears to their eyes, them boys, before we got playing.
Even in the final against St Colum's Derry, I took a goal right at the end from Glenn Burden, to edge that game. We probably didn't deserve to win that game. St Colum's were arguably the better team. So it was just those fine margins we were able to get out on top, and that was a real relief, to get over the line in that game and to get that win.
The thing that helped us win the MacLarnon Cup was Richie Annett's goal. I had the perfect view of it, centre of the midfield, hadn't gone too far up, and Richie did this turn as soon as he received the ball. He was on the turn before he had the ball in his hands. He put about 20 of the opposition the wrong way. There was people in the crowd falling over, and he just laced it straight into roof of the net. Game over. More crowd going mad in Casement Park that day. Sunny day, and that vision will always stay with me. It was a mighty goal.
And then moving through to the All-Ireland series, we just opened up. I think a lot of Ulster teams will say that at Hogan level and at all grades. Once you get out of Ulster, the shackles come off, and we played some really good football and won the semi-final very comfortably.
In the All-Ireland final, Glenn had been sent off, and we had the last 10 or 15 minutes without Glenn. Aidan Flanagan stepped up something serious in the final against Portlaoise. I think he could nod 6 or something from middle of the field. Absolutely tremendous performance altogether. And they had some top class players, Craig Rogers and MJ Tierney, people like that would have been went on to play with Laois. So I mean, you saw the quality that they had, but at the same time, they just couldn't match what we had on that day.
We also had Cool Hand Look Hard at the back, Captain Flanagan in the middle, and a sprightly Luke Toner up front that probably tipped the balance on final day.
Yes, we had to hang on with 14 men towards the end, but I never thought we were going to lose that game in Navan, and it was a massive day for the school and great memories. The question was asked, look, we've achieved the MacLarnon kind of cup glory, what do we do now? And we had a really solid base of players that were going to be staying on to have a crack at a following year. So I think between, Cathal Murray, who was, as far as I can remember, he was head of upper sixth then, and he was bullish, he was very ambitious, and we kind of said, let's just go and do this, and we definitely were good enough. We knew we had the squad of players to if we stayed injury free, to challenge, and that's how it turned out.
But we already sort of dipped our toes in the water. I think it was either Brock or Ranafast. We stepped up to A level, and the college only beat St Louis by a couple of points in the semi-final. So I mean, we showed we were good enough. The team had also won the local Peterborough Sevens. So our seven was as good as any as the Abbey and the College seven. So, you know, we knew we had the quality, so we said, well, sure, let's go for it.
I'm not sure if this actually happened, or because over the years I've had a few dreams about the MacRory Cup, and in the dreams I never remember what happened at the end, if we won or if we didn't, but I always remember this part, like, of after assembly, Cathal pulling me over and saying to me, you know, we're thinking of going up to the A colleges, you know, what do you think, and you're going to be fit and this year sort of stuff. And I was like, I'm ready, like, let's go and give this a really good go, you know. And yeah, I think just after that, you know, we went for it.
It was really the only move. You know, we had Joe Ireland, Eamon Big Bob McConville, and Cathal Murray in his lucky hat. So, you know, the only way was up after 04.
The 2005 campaign was brilliant. You know, we were a little bit in awe at the start of it, but we put on some massive performances. I remember a game in the league campaign in Enniskillen where we just played them off the park. A game in Carrickmore, and it was just a massive achievement.
The confidence the boys were getting, you could see game by game that, you know, we were never overawed, but game by game these guys were growing, and we said, God, the team's improving. They're working harder in training. They had to be to develop and to step up to the standard that other teams were putting at us.
Marty Clarke's goal against St MacLarn's Monaghan in the first round of the MacRory, like, it made national news. You know, they were comparing it to Diego Maradona's goal, you know, against England in the World Cup. I think Marty got Player of the Month in Ulster that year, like, for someone so young, you know, was unheard of. And yeah, like, that goal, you know, if it was dug up again, you know, it was just shown, you know, what he had, and he just had that, you know, like, Midas touch to get us through any tight, you know, scenario in the toughest times.
The whole atmosphere in that whole school was, like, from first year pupils up to, you know, us, the older ones, the whole school was alive with fever of MacRory Cup.
The morns came alive, like, sheep were painted green and purple all over the place. Anywhere we went, you know, game day, there was massive support. And again, you know, like, between club and communities, the chat and the buzz, you know, around football and around, you know, the potential and the crack that the St Louis team, you know, and supporters were generating. And again, you know, like, all of the coverage, you know, that was given to it. And just also being told, you know, you were capable, you were able to do it, was a key to, you know, making it fun, making it enjoyable, and making you stick at it.
And the semi-final against Armagh again in Carrickmore. Such a battle in the middle of the field. James and Joe are up against, I think it was Charlie Vernon and Colin Kavanagh, and we know what those two boys went on to play. JJ Clarke, another outstanding talent for St Pat's Armagh, but we did enough, and that was a very tough performance. You know, it was gritty, it was dogged, it was typical MacRory.
Charlie Vernon in the first 10 minutes was definitely getting the better of me, and Mr. Murray was screaming at me to let James mark him. Screaming would be an understatement, but I was stubborn as the day met me, so I wasn't for moving off Charlie. But yeah, I think I started to compete a bit better, and you know, we got over the line in the end. But I was just glad that he was screaming at me, and I was able to, you know, to stand up and meet his expectations as such. So when we got over the line into the final.
And the whole community, the goodwill that we got from the people of Mourne and beyond were amazing. Getting cards and good wishes came across a card there recently from Joe Ireland's mother about Robert the Bruce, you know, and just these sorts of things. People really did what they could to give us such a lift, and it was amazing. And then we always had a ritual on the bus before the game of Joe Ireland would put on his tape. Joe with the inches tape, this way back before it became sort of played out, but I think he must have put on a wee bit later. We'd warmed up with St Galls and we came up and we're camera sort of waiting at the door of the bus and can't get off. No, wait till the inches tape's finished. So we had to wait till it was all finished and we got off, and we were going to kill dead things at that stage. We were.
It was just a massive achievement, and to get to the final and to come so close against a really well disciplined, well set up Oma team. You know, it was heartbreaking at that stage with to lose a replay, and you know, but some of the memories and some of the quality of the players that we had, the likes of Joe Ireland, James Colgan, you know, Eamon McConville, Luke Hard, guys that, you know, went on, Peter Fitzpatrick to play at the top level.
I suppose one of the standout memories is Mark Sidebottom commentating on me, saying that if I had been a horse running at Cheltenham that day, that he would have put his house on me. I'd actually seen him at the Kilkeel All-Ireland Club final there in the Pro Park Hotel after the game, and I had a couple of Guinness in me and I went up to him at the bar. I was like, all right, Mark, you probably don't remember me, but I remember you commentating on me in the MacRory Cup final. And he remembered straight away. He's like, oh, I said I put my house in you, didn't I? And I was laughing my head off, and he went and brought his wife over, and she remembered St Louis teams, and I had a good chat with him then, so I was glad I didn't, you know, shy away from going and saying it to him, but he still remembered 15 years later. So it shows you the impact that period of time, and you know, the success of that group of players, what we had on the local community here and the wider community as well.
So the fact that we have stepped up in 2005, obviously we're going to stay there in 2006. I'd moved on. Niall and Stevie continued on and came within, they'd one hand on the cup really at that stage.
You know, I arrived in the school in 2005, and they had lost the MacRory final just the previous year to Oma after a replay. And I remember, you know, about a week into term, we always have the school formal at St Louis, and I was speaking to Martin Clarke, and Martin says to me, look, you know, I feel that we can win the MacRory this year. You know, we've lost, some key players from last year, but I think that the personnel is still there this year, and the boys are very determined, you know, to push on and succeed. And I would have to say, right from the first session with the boys, it was very much player led, and you know, myself and Stephen, you know, obviously had a big input into it as well. But the players really wanted to push themselves as hard as they possibly could to get the very best out of themselves, and they did do that.
You could nearly put your house on it that when the draws are made at St Louis, we're going to get St Colman's. It was very tough. There's no doubt about it. It was very tough. I'd invested 13 years of my life in St Louis, and my playing career was sort of created and built around the start that I got in the college. So I was always going to go back there if I had the opportunity. And having taken certainly James Colgan's team to that 2005, as far as I could have taken them, and you know, take them to a replay, I felt I couldn't have done any more, and I left feeling very proud of the job that I had done. But you couldn't underestimate, you know, going against the school who you'd invested so much in as well, and it was tough. And I suppose knowing the players and knowing the matchups and who was needed more attention than others probably did give us an advantage to some degree. And
being honest, I suppose in the first game we didn't play overly well. St Colman's missed quite a few chances from free kick situations that day, if I can recall as well, and possibly could have went on to win the game, but we managed to get a draw out of it anyway, and went to the replay. And again, in the replay, about 2 or 3 days before, Martin was in bed with a very bad flu, and we weren't sure that he was going to play. But Martin, being Martin, you know, dusted himself down and came out and led the team again so well.
You know, the game was two tremendous games. I mean, there were thousands at this. It was kind of unheard of, you know. So there were thousands at both games, and there were wonderful spectacles. And obviously, those two games against us then set St Louis up on a good run to the final.
The Abbey in the final, was a brilliant occasion too, and it's something that, while we didn't win the game, we still look back fondly of some of the memories and the build up and stuff to the game as well. And I suppose it was a good final, and it was a good advertisement for colleges football as well in that regard. So as I say, there was many standout games in that era.
What was a heartbreaker? We didn't have the same squad or quality, but we had that desire, and we scraped through every game, and we probably deserved to win that final. And it was that heartbreaking moment where the block led to the goal. But look, there were historic days for the school, and massive friendships forged, and kind of put the school on the map from a sporting perspective anyway. And
the main memory that sticks in my mind is the goal that cost them the game. But it was still a marvellous achievement that they got there 2 years running. And, my heart was broke for Marty Clarke and Peter Fitzpatrick and Luke Toner and Fergal Doyle, and these boys had gone the hard road 2 years in a row. And, I thought for sure this was going to be our time to get over the line, but we didn't. And my heart was broke for them.
Losing 2 MacRory Cup finals was a massive disappointment at that time. There's absolutely no doubt about it in a football sense. But I feel that from losing those finals, and I suppose especially the one in 2006 with the last minute goal and the way it happened, it's taught the boys that they got to be resilient, and they got to bounce back from setbacks like that. And I remember in the days after it, boys coming out to me and speaking to me at length, just about how disappointed they were and stuff like that, and trying to speak to them and let them know that there'll be bigger and better things ahead in their life, not just in sport but also in other areas as well. But as I say, the setbacks that you get in sport can definitely help you know what I mean, deal with different setbacks that inevitably you're going to have in life.
So what did those guys get out of the 2004, 5 and 6 campaigns? I'd like to say I would like for them to say it was fun. I mentioned before, it was a journey. I don't think anyone could have expected us, the wee school in the mornings with so few boys to really be punching above our weight in terms of the scale that the teams we were up against.
Having that sort of success in school is massive for the next generation, and there's absolutely no doubt that the local clubs and the county benefited from the run that St Louis had, reaching those MacLarnon MacRory finals during that era.
I'll always have those memories. I still have my MacRory Cup jersey actually, so I keep both of them framed on the wall. No, but I found this one when I was hoping through my stuff there since the COVID one. I have both jerseys, so it's great to keep these memories alive.
It was, the purest, maybe most innocent and best crack, I and a lot of the other more men had whilst playing. So
if you're a historic MacRory team, that's where you always play. And I think now with more new schools coming in, the likes of St Ronan's, who made their breakthrough, they're challenging because a lot of these other sides have just always played MacRory because that's what their name said. And we found out at St Louis we were maybe the breakthrough team that did that. It didn't matter what you were called. If you had a good enough unit and a good enough squad of players, you could challenge these schools and their history, and that's what we did.
It's not always about football. A lot of these guys have been very successful in their professions, and not only that, but a lot of them have gone on to represent Down, both at minors. A lot of those guys were involved in the 2005 minor team that won the Ireland Cup by James. You had a number of them gone on then with the Down in the 21s, and also involved with the Down seniors in 2010. So, I mean, some of them are still going strong yet at club level, 15 years later, and really, I would like to think displaying the same characteristics and being as manly and as honest as they were when they were St Louis, and I would like to think that what we did at St Louis helped them mould them into honest, honourable young men, but also cracking footballers.
You know, sometimes in life, you know, winning isn't everything, and you know, for that group of players in 2005, you know, maybe we thought it was, but we only lost 2 games all year, and they were the league final and then the MacRory final. But you know, I believe we won over the hearts and minds of the whole community and the wider community, and people still have fond memories, almost as if we did win it. You know, they'll never be taken away from us, and yeah, it was just a fantastic time to be involved in.
So they won the hearts and minds of Southdown, and it really shows you that you don't have to win trophies to be successful. You don't have to be the team that come out in the top to create great history. And what they did for that area and what they did for the school was tremendous. And it just shows you that if a team believes and has got the right coaching and got the right attitude, they can really do whatever they want, and they can be successful. So that's our show for this week. If you want to watch more of these shows, we've already did 5 episodes on other teams like Rossa and St Galls and Loughgale and Ballinderry. If you want to watch those, you can watch them on our site. I encourage you to go there, and also I encourage you to sign up for the digital edition and our online edition, where you can get more features and interesting stories and all kinds of good stuff. But thanks you for watching this week. I hope you'll see you again in the future.